Are you modeling? Today, I am with Janet Gregory. This is a conference called Agile Japan 2015. Janet Gregory is a co-author of Agile testing.
And more Agile
testing. So, how is Agile testing different from the traditional testing?
Testing is about asking questions to the software or to people about assumptions. When in traditional testing or in traditional projects, the testing is at the end.
At the end.
Yeah. We base it on requirements that are written at the beginning. And so there's often a mismatch. In Agile, what we want to do is we want to test throughout. So it's an activity, not a phase. Right?
So it's testing.
It's testing, exactly. So the tester role is, it still exists and it can exist, but testing is more the responsibility of the whole team. So we want to be able to think about how can we start testing earlier in the project instead of waiting to the very end.
I see. Is it about automation?
Well, automation, I firmly believe that automation is critical, that you can't be sustainable without having automation. But automation isn't all there is.
I see.
It's much more. It's if you can have a process to say, let's automate as we go, the automation is almost a byproduct. It's the asking the questions and getting the shared understanding is what is important, right? So it's a necessary thing to be able to do that.
It's not just that.
It's not just that. And too many people go and find the tool and map their process to the tool instead of getting the process and understanding that and then getting the tool to match that. So it's not about the tools. It's not about automation. They're necessary.
I see.
But
so sometimes in the traditional development, developers and testers are sepaate sometimes.
Most of the time.
Kind of enemies, not enemies, but hostile.
Hostile. I've worked in one of those companies, and it can be hostile. I use the word antagonistic.
Antagonistic.
Right? And in Agile, we're asking them to collaborate. So sometimes if testers and developers come from one of those environments, the background that says, they've been enemies, it makes it very, very difficult for them to learn how to collaborate. And that can be one of the biggest difficulties. How do we become best friends? How do we work together?
Do we work together?
Yes. And that's sometimes I spend half my time when I'm coaching a team, just teaching them how to work together, building that trust. Right? Team members from so many different places that when we start to think about where they're coming from and be aware of their culture. About how they might respond to what we say, how can we help them? It makes things so much easier in a team. As soon as people be open and aware, I see things start to flow.
I see. One morning, you wake up and you have a power to change any two things in the world. What would you change?
World peace.
World peace. World peace.
But really, I think people's awareness of what's going on around them, being able to read people's reactions and understand what they're saying, I think that's one of the harder things. So, for example, coming into Japan, it's hard to read emotions from a lot of the Japanese people. I don't know how to read them yet. So I think awareness, a magical mind reading kind of awareness would be great. Mindfulness, not mind reading, but yes. It would solve a lot of problems in the world, but even on teams, just being aware, right? So that's
Great.
one. That's a big one.
Big one. And that leads to world peace, right?
And that leads to world peace, exactly.
Go second.
I was saying in the speaker room that it would be really nice if I could go into every country I go into, if I could speak their language. So, on Star Trek where they had the universal translator? Yeah, I want one of those. So somebody needs to invent one because that would solve a lot of issues too. So, universal translator. We've come a long ways and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Right?
Google's is
good
good
they
job.
are. So it's close. Bye-bye.